A lot happened in Ball State's third quarter century of athletics, easily the most of any era. But we won't bury the lead.
It is up and it is good! The Cardinals win! The Cardinals!
Yeah, so in 1990, the Cardinals went to the Sweet 16. But let's backpedal. This stage in Ball State athletics history finally introduced something new to the equation. Women. "13 women's sports added their feather to the Cardinals' quiver in the 70s. Eileen Keener was the first women's AD, and Andrea Seeger, eventually the first woman AD. You know, nowadays we call Muncie the volleyball capital of the nation, so it makes sense that volleyball was the first in 1972, November 4th, as a matter of fact, a win against Indiana State. The Cardinals very quickly found success in the sport, winning records for the first 8 seasons and a whopping 35-7 mark in just their third go. It's a school record of wins that still stands, only matched 3 years later. Basketball was the second sport. The Cardinals beat Purdue in their debut, December 7th of 74. And then 75 saw the launch of the most dynastic women's sport in Cardinals history. Although it took a little bit to gain a foothold, for almost 20 years, Cardinals field hockey was the bar. Karen Fitzpatrick became head coach in 1980, and then starting in 83, her squads won the next 9 MAC championships, 16 of 17. The Cardinals went to 4 NCAA tournaments, boast 18 All-Americans, 5 first-teamers, but more on them in the next 25 years. Now, for that dynasty, there were also a couple of sports that came around in the 70s that Cardinals fans might not be all that familiar with today. Ball State had a badminton team. Yeah, just a few matches a year, but the red and white did go 3-1 back in 1981. Also in the 70s, long before it was the en vogue thing, lacrosse blossomed in Muncie. The Cardinals didn't lose a game at one point for 2 years in 77 and 78. Kathy Bland scored 133 career goals before the program was dropped in 1982. Unfortunately, that's the same time 7 other sports were cut: badminton, women's golf, men's and women's indoor track, and men's gymnastics, soccer, and wrestling. But overall, the time was a period of tremendous growth. In 1968, the Cardinals jumped up a level. They declared all programs, but football and basketball, major sports. And football and basketball would follow in the coming years, when the school also joined the Mid-American Conference. So, what else happened in those 25 years? From 69 to 72, Patricia Bergman swam for Ball State, the first national champion female athlete for the Cardinals. She did it 3 times. Dave McClain was hired as football coach in 1971. He won the MAC title in 76. Dwight Wallace followed, and the Cardinals went 10-1 in 79. Then John Smith. He wrestled his way to 6th in the country in 1973. And Pete Lee went to the Olympics in 76. He was an alternate in 84. Bill Richards was hired as tennis coach in 73. He's still here. 38 MAC titles later. Men's golf and cross country won the school's first MAC crowns, though, 1975. 1976, Jim Howell was a MAC champ and then a 9-time decathlete on the U.S. national team. In 81, men's basketball went to the NCAA tournament, like the big one, and almost beat Boston College. Ray McCallum was their best player, and until Bonzi Wells, he was the best player and the first Cardinal in anything to have their jersey retired, that in 1983. Benita Harrington was a 2-time track All-American, 84 Olympic trials. Thomas Tank Howard blasted 43 career home runs, and then the Padres took him in the first round in 86. He played 11 years in the Bigs. Emma Jones graduated 1987, the first basketball player, male or female, to 1,500 points and 1,000 rebounds. Football went to the Raisin Bowl in 89, its first FBS postseason. The same year, a guy named Rick Majerus coached the Hoops team to 29-3 and a big dance W. Oh, and men's cross country went dancing that year too. Well, I mean running, but you get the point. Also in the 80s, softball took off. Back-to-back 30-win seasons in 88 and 89 under Jerry Finley, the program's most tenured coach. 1990, Paris was fouled, Chandler dunked, and a student sat on a traffic light in the Village. 1991, the Cards were number 1. Dan Kroenke and Paul Cruz, the nation's top tennis pair. 1992, women's volleyball made its first NCAA tournament, and also in 92.
Programs!
Get your hot dogs!
What's now called Worthen Arena Open. And that's the first 75 years of Ball State sports, or just scratching the surface of it.